Okay, let us continue, students. Okay, I hope everyone can now see the PDF for modern periodic table, right? D block, characteristics of D block. Please let me know.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. Okay. So students, we discussed characteristics of S block and P block. Now let's see characteristics for D block. Okay. So the D block consists from, it is comprises from group 3 to group 12. Okay. They are all metals. Okay. All the group all the D block elements are metals. Okay. You all can mark this point. The D block elements are called transition elements or transition metals. Okay. Students, your S and P block elements are collectively known as main group elements or representative elements, right? Similarly, your D block elements are called transition elements or transition metals because all of them are metals. Okay, fine. They form a bridge between chemically reactive S block and less reactive elements of groups 13 and 14. Okay, bridge in the sense because they are in between both of them. All right. Most of the D block elements possess partially filled inner D orbitals. Students, why the elements are in D block? Because their valence electrons are entering D orbitals, right? Yes or no? Partially filled D orbitals means it starts from 3D1. For example, if I'm discussing about fourth period, okay, so in fourth period 3D starts filling up, right? So it goes from 3D1 till 3D10. Okay, so in between there are a lot of elements which have half filled d orbitals, or maybe 3/4 of it is filled, quarter of it is filled. Okay, fine. As a result, the D block elements have properties now because of these partially filled inner D orbitals. Students, why inner D orbitals? See, in fourth period, we have entered the fourth shell. But after 4s fills up, 3D fills up, right? Yes or no? So 3D is like inner to 4s. Even if the energy level is more, it is inside. It is inside the third shell. Okay, that is the reason inner D orbitals. If I talk about the D block elements of the fifth period, so there 4D fills up. Okay, fine. So this is something you'll already know. Now, because of this, what happens? There are various properties that your D blocks can show. Students, please let me know if you all are familiar with the concept of oxidation state. If you all know what oxidation state is. Yes or no? I think so. It is taught to you all. I mean, you all are done with this chapter, right? Chemical bonding chapter is done, right?
No, miss.
No, miss.
Okay, chemical bonding
No.
chapter is not done. Okay, then don't worry about it. Okay, so okay, fine. Let's not go into that detail. In simple words, if I have to tell you all what oxidation state is. So, for example, your okay, just a minute. रेडॉक्स में है, अच्छा रेडॉक्स में सिखाया है ना ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट, तो पता रहेगा क्या, सुना तो रहेगा ना पहले कभी. See, if you all don't remember, that is a different question. Okay, if I am asking, you all have heard it or no, at least once in your life. Yes, okay, you all have heard it. Okay, so okay, in simple words, students, see, अभी ये Na plus है, so oxidation of Na is oxidation state. Okay, wait, gain of O2 and loss of hydrogen. Okay, no, yeah, that's what oxidation number and all. वही सब concept है oxidation state. Okay, so Na plus means its oxidation state is +1. Okay, fine. Cl minus means its oxidation state is -1. Yes, number assignments. Yes, students, whatever you all are answering is correct in chat. Okay, fine. Just in general idea for the students who don't remember. Okay, so students, these are for S and P block. Now your D block elements, they can show variable oxidation states because of these inner filled orbitals. There is a lot of valence electron range. Okay, I mean, it can give away 1 electron, 2 electrons, 3 electrons. Okay, a lot of things can happen. It can just give 1 electron, more than 1 electron. So it has variable oxidation states. Like one element, now see, in case of sodium, it can show only +1. But the elements present in the D block can show many oxidation states. Okay, fine. If it is there in your redox, I think so somewhere there would be a table where they have given variable oxidation states and all. So you can go and have a look at it once. So basically the point to remember from here is because your D blocks have inner filled D orbitals, okay, lot of electrons are available. So variable oxidation states can be seen. Okay, this is one property. Next property is paramagnetism. Okay. All right. Now, students, what is paramagnetism? There are three terms, three types of magnetic materials to be more precise. One is a diamagnetic material, a paramagnetic material, and a ferromagnetic material. Okay, fine. So normally your bar magnets and everything, they are made up of ferromagnetic material only. What is the difference between three of them? I'll tell you all. See, if I give you a diamagnetic material, okay, and if you all will try to take it near a magnet, near a externally kept magnet, if you all will try to take a diamagnetic material, it will repel. Okay, it will try to move away from that external magnet. That is a diamagnetic material. Okay, fine. What is a paramagnetic material? Paramagnetic material is something, students, which will be weakly attracted to that external magnet or the external magnetic field. Okay, weakly attracted means it won't go suddenly over there to the external this thing. Little bit attraction is there. And what is a ferromagnetic material? Ferromagnetic material is something that is strongly attracted to the external magnetic field. Okay, students, you will come across these concepts in chemistry and I think so in physics as well. Diamagnetism, paramagnetism, and ferromagnetism. Simple words, remember, a diamagnetic material is something that repels the external magnetic field. A paramagnetic material is something which is weakly attracted by the external magnetic field, and a ferromagnetic material is something that is strongly attracted by the external magnetic field. Our D block elements show paramagnetism. So what I want you all to do is just write down what paramagnetism is somewhere on this page only. Okay, fine. So paramagnetism, just write down about it because the other two are not in discussion right now. So what is in discussion, we'll note it down. Okay. So materials which are weakly attracted, I'm asking you to write down what paramagnetism is, okay, or what are paramagnetic materials. Materials which are weakly attracted to the external magnetic field. Materials which are weakly attracted to the external magnetic field. Okay, materials which are weakly attracted to the external magnetic field, and in bracket you all can write down unpaired electrons. In bracket you all can write down unpaired electrons. Okay, so materials which are weakly attracted by the external magnetic field. Materials which are weakly attracted to the external magnetic field. Okay, fine. And in bracket write down unpaired electrons. Students, I think so now you all are familiar with what unpairing and pairing is. Okay, fine. So D has 5 orbitals. So first, if you all have to half fill it. Okay, for example, if you all have D raised to 7. So what will happen? First, one electron will enter each orbital and then pairing starts. So students, if I have D raised to 7 in some element, okay, and your D has 5 this thing, right? 5 orbitals, 1, 2, 5. Okay, so first one will enter in each, okay, and then pairing starts. So here in this scenario, 3 of them are unpaired and 2 of the orbitals are paired up. Okay, they have paired electrons. Now students, normally paramagnetic materials, like if you all have to identify which material is paramagnetic, which material is diamagnetic and everything, you all can simply write the electronic configuration and determine. Okay, so if everything is paired up, like if it is the valence orbital, everything is completely filled, they are said to be diamagnetic materials. How to identify paramagnetic materials? If there are unpaired electrons, like for the D7 example that I just discussed. Okay, so the elements with configuration where valence orbitals, to be more specific, d orbitals, they have unpaired electrons, they are said to be paramagnetic in nature, and these are the elements which have the ability to form colored ions. So students, this is kind of a detection test. Okay, like if in laboratory, I'll give you a diamagnetic and paramagnetic material. Okay, and I'll tell you all to identify which is what. Because paramagnetic material has unpaired electrons, it has the ability to form colored ions. So one that will give me some color, it is paramagnetic. Okay, fine. I hope you all are understanding this. One more important point, you can just note this down or just mark it down. They can be used as catalysts. So mostly D block elements are used as catalysts. Okay, fine. And this last point is very important, students. Last point, you all can just mark and put a star mark and something. Just a minute, okay? Okay, fine. Okay, students. So see what is written in the last this thing: zinc, the element zinc, cadmium, and Hg is mercury with configuration NH2n minus 1 d raised to 10. Students, see NH2n minus 1 d raised to 10. This is the configuration for the last group of D block. Okay, your D block from the first group, what happens? D1, and then D2, D3, D4, and when you all come to the second last group, the copper one, if you all remember, copper, Ag, Au, there what happens? The original configuration is S2 and D9, but because in order to achieve full filling, one electron from S will jump to D. So it is S1 and D10. But here carefully see what is written: S2 and D10. So it is the last group of your d orbital, which is completely filled, right? Yes or no? It is completely filled. So they do not show the properties of typical transition metals. What are the properties, students? Variable oxidation state, paramagnetism. Paramagnetism means unpaired electrons, and unpaired electron means they can give colored ions. But obviously in your last group there are no unpaired electrons. So you know, they, if there is no unpaired, then it does not show paramagnetism, it does not form colored ions. Okay, so these are like kind of exceptions of the D block, the last group elements. If I'll quickly show you all their placement, where is the periodic table? Okay, fine. See here in the last group, zinc, cadmium, Hg is present. Okay, last group of the D block. Okay, fine, students. So these were the properties for D block. Just a minute. Okay, fine. All right. Now let us quickly discuss for F block, and then I'll get back to that query. Or what we can do is we can just simply finish it off right now. Wait. Okay. The students, see in your textbook, where is that colored bifurcation? Okay, come to page number 94, or wherever you all wrote that metalloids point, okay, that I discussed in the first half. Okay, so if you all will go along the zigzag line, okay, see students, in your textbook they have written, see this dark green color, the blocks with this dark green color are metalloids. Okay, so the doubt that Melissa asked was, okay, germanium and polonium are also metalloids. Okay, students, it was my mistake, I did not mention. Okay, fine. So in that list, put down germanium and polonium as well. Okay, fine. So what are the elements now? Your boron, silicon, arsenic, okay, antimony, tellurium, germanium, and polonium. And this astatine is also a metalloid, students. It is not a halogen. Even though they have put it in a blue colored box which is resembling halogen, I think so maybe because it is present in the halogen group. That is the reason they have just written it in, or the color that they have put is blue. Okay, but astatine is a metalloid. So the list is same. Okay, list is same, whatever list you all wrote earlier. Just put comma and write down germanium and polonium as well. Okay, fine. All right. And astatine is also a metalloid, it is not a halogen. So I think so some color mistake might have happened. Okay, fine. So I hope Melissa, you understood what the doubt is. I mean, thank you for raising the doubt, otherwise I would have ignored that point. Okay, fine. I hope others please do the necessary correction. In that list that you all wrote earlier, add germanium and polonium to it. Okay, fine. Rest everything is same. Students, please let me know if you all understood this, what the doubt was and what I explained just now.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay, now let us quickly discuss the characteristics for F block. Okay, we finished SP and D. Just a minute. Okay, where is it? Okay, so characteristics of, let me just zoom it out a little bit. Characteristics of F block. Okay, fine here. So the F block contains elements of elements, all of which are metals and are placed in the two rows called lanthanide series and actinide series. Students, again, this point is something you all already know. Okay, now see the first element. See, for the first element of the lanthanide series is lanthanium. So in reality, lanthanium is placed in the main periodic table, okay, and all the other elements, they are placed down separately. Okay, fine. So these are the elements, okay, and they are atomic numbers and everything, okay. All of them are metals. So if you all want, you all can mark this point. If let's move ahead, okay, fine. Yeah, so see, it is written over here, these series are named after their preceding elements. So lanthanide series, the first element is lanthanium, and in the actinide series, the first element is actinum. Okay, fine. So the series is based on, the name is based on the first element. So they are present in the third group of D block, 6th and 7th period respectively. So it is in the third group. 6th period we have lanthanide series, and 7th period we have actinide series. Okay, fine. Again, something that you all already know. Okay, fine. Now what is written, the lanthanides are also called rare earth elements. You all can mark this statement if you all want. Okay, fine. Just how group 1 is called alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, halogens and everything. So your lanthanides, okay, out of the 2 series of F block, the first one, the lanthanides series, they are also called rare earth elements. And what does that mean? It is written in the name only, rare earth elements. Okay, hardly found. Let's move ahead. What is written? The last electron of the element, last electron of these elements of this series is filled in n-2 F subshell. Again, students, if you all have understood whatever I am explaining till now, all the configuration, everything, this point is very easy to understand. Okay, when you all are in the 6th period, okay, 6th period, what happens? First 6s2 will be filled, then 4f will be filled from 1 to 14, and then 5d will be filled. Okay, you all remember this, right? Your d is n-1, your f is n-2. Okay, so when you all are in the 6th period, lanthanide series, 4f is filled. When you all are in the 7th period, actinide series, 7-2, 5f will be filled. Okay, fine. So n-2 F subshell, and therefore they are called inner transition elements. Students, see, you all can mark this as well. They are called, this much point, these are called inner transition. So your D block elements are called transition elements, your F block elements are called inner transition elements. Okay, fine. All right. These elements, so sorry students, just a minute, okay? Okay, yeah, so these elements, they have very similar, what is written over here, these elements, they have very similar properties within each series. So basically all the lanthanide series will have kind of similar properties, all the actinide elements of the actinide series will have similar properties. It is just like the elements in the same group show same properties. Okay, so the same concept, but here because they are placed separately on all, that is the reason students, they are placed separately, because all of them have kind of similar properties. If you all will place it in the main periodic table, then entire orientation is disturbed. So because all these elements are kind of similar, they have just placed it separately. Okay, and only the first member of the family is kept in the main periodic table. Okay, fine. What is written next? The actinide elements. Okay, the actinide elements. Okay, you all have to mark actually this statement, but this blue colored box is there in between. So the actinide series from here, then this point. Elements beyond U. Okay, U stands for uranium. All right, elements beyond uranium. All this statement you all are supposed to mark. Okay, elements beyond uranium are called transuranium elements. Okay, they are called transuranium elements. And then last point, all the transuranium elements are man-made and radioactive. It is not available in nature. This is what people have found out, and it is radioactive in nature. Okay, fine. So where is this uranium? If we'll just quickly have a look at the periodic table. So basically we're done with, there was not much to remember in F block, just some terminologies. Okay, fine. So if you all see this periodic table, okay, where is uranium? Okay, you all can see here uranium in the actinide series. So beyond uranium, okay, all beyond uranium, all these elements, this Np, Pu and all everything, they are called transuranium elements, okay, and they are all radioactive and man-made in nature. Okay, fine. So if I tell you all, name me some, if like objective question, name some radioactive elements, you all can write, name 2 radioactive elements, you all can write any elements from here. Okay, fine. So students, we are done with the characteristics of blocks topic.